Halifax is part of the federal state of Nova Scotia, or New Scotland. The peninsula has a population of 333,000. The city is the oldest British settlement in Canada, and it's managed to retain all the charm and tranquility of a small town. After Sydney, Halifax has the second largest harbour in the world, one of the region's few harbours that is free from ice throughout the year. It has an annual handling capacity of more than 16 million tonnes. In addition to the huge container harbour, there are several shipyards. When the St. Lawrence River is closed for navigation during the winter months, this natural harbour is kept extremely busy. It has been used for many centuries. Halifax Harbour is also frequented by ocean-going liners. Elegant passenger boats lie at anchor next to naval ships. In spite of its many skyscrapers, the city is dominated by a hill. This is the location of the large star-shaped Citadel. The restored clock tower was gifted to the city by the Duke of Kent, who ordered its construction in 1803. Punctuality was his byword. For several centuries, Nova Scotian crystal has produced traditional glassware. Each piece is unique because it is created by a single glassblower. Arts and crafts are popular in this state capital, and its lavishly restored sailing ships are a wonderful sight. Sightseeing tours are a good way to experience the city. And this is the best view of the harbour, with a view of the Halifax Waterfront. Everything is undertaken at an easy pace. Sailing boats cross the paths of yachts and cargo ships. Daily life is amicable and carefree. A well-known trendy American magazine once described Halifax as totally cool, and indeed a number of Hollywood stars have bought summer residences here. Lobsters, oysters, mussels and fish soup are but a few of the menu items that appear in the seafood restaurants of the Atlantic District. The city is a romantic setting close to the waterside. Halifax's lifestyle is determined by its proximity to the sea. Nostalgic steamboats travel to the region's small fishing villages with their jetties, colourful buildings and gleaming white lighthouses. This building was built on wooden poles and is called Cable Wharf. It was from here that deep ocean cable ships created the first telephone connections between Europe and America. The Harbourside Shops are always a tempting sight and a good source of fascinating souvenirs. Huge wood-carved ice bears and the replica of a famous figurehead. But smaller versions are more convenient for overseas travellers. The many goods on offer are colourful and varied, and the attractive shops contain an array of intriguing objects from both past and present. It's possible to find a bargain too. The sidewalks are partly enclosed, thus they provide good shelter during inclement weather. Historic properties, the oldest warehouses in Canada. This was where the pirates of the 19th century once stored their loot. These restored buildings date back between 1800 and 1905. Today they've been transformed into shops, boutiques and restaurants. At the time of Canada's flourishing trade with West India, England and China, seafarers from all over the world met here. The warehouses were full of dried fish and rum. Halifax successfully combines the past with the present. Next to the architecture of bygone times, there are ultra-modern buildings constructed of steel and glass. The Maritime Museum. This covers the history of the fishing industry on Canada's Atlantic coastline, and also the development of navigation. Boats and small models illustrate the development of shipbuilding, including great seafarers and many other remarkable exhibits. This is the perfect place for those interested in navigation. Even an hydrography ship that was once used for the charting of the Arctic Ocean can be explored. A visit to the Maritime Museum provides an extensive insight into the dramatic and sometimes tragic past of this wonderful city. In 1917, two ships collided in Halifax Harbour. This led to an explosion that destroyed half the city. 2,000 people perished and 9,000 were injured. In April 1912, the loss of the supposedly unsinkable passenger ship the Titanic was caused after its collision with an iceberg. It was from Halifax that the rescue ships embarked. The catastrophe claimed the lives of 1,500 people. The finest collection of the remains of the Titanic are exhibited here. Replicas of the luxury liner and the rescue boats are also on display. The luxury liner went down 750 sea miles east of Halifax. The disaster proved to be one of the biggest catastrophes in the history of navigation. The inhabitants of Halifax also refer to their city as the San Francisco of the North. The bridge to Halifax's sister city of Dartmouth is similar to the Golden Gate Bridge. The picturesque harbour complex, steep streets and waterside views are a frequent reminder of its southern counterpart. Halifax is the administrative centre of Nova Scotia. It is also the trading and financial metropolis of Canada's Atlantic regions. St. Paul's Church is Canada's first and oldest Anglican church. The shining white building was constructed in 1750. The church is situated at the southern end of Grand Parade and is surrounded by one of the city's 3 cemeteries. 150 victims of the Titanic disaster are buried here. The region's first settlers are buried in the city's oldest cemetery. The courageous men and women who in 1749 first set foot here with Edward Cornwallis. Halifax has a varied climate. This lively city is mild in winter and cool in summer, with temperatures of between 16 and 24 degrees Celsius. During winter, it's around 3 degrees Celsius. On Grand Parade Square are City Hall and St. Paul's Church. In 1995, the city was the venue for the G7 summit. The square is flanked with old English brick-built houses. It was once the setting of colourful parades. Halifax is also known as the City of Trees. With only 55 skyscrapers, it's a combination of history and the building styles of a modern metropolis. This sandstone building dates to 1818. It houses Nova Scotia's Parliament. Charles Dickens appreciated this Georgian building. He wrote, "It's as though viewing Westminster through the wrong end of a telescope." Halifax boasts the oldest history of any city in Canada. The Mi'kmaq Indians were the first settlers of the Chibukto region, that means the largest harbour. In 1711, the French arrived as the first Europeans to set foot here. It was sometime later that Colonel Cornwallis and his early band of settlers founded the city of Halifax. In 1756, the pirates of this region acted in the name of the English king. The British governor of Halifax permitted them to freely roam the seas. They hunted down each of the ships that interfered with their dubious trade with the rum and sugar islands of the Caribbean. Their booty was legalized by the English governor. In 1800, Prince Edward ordered the construction of a garrison clock. Completed in 1803, this church clock is one of Halifax's landmarks. The elevated clock tower served a practical purpose, and today it's the oldest building within the Citadel. The journey continues to another place of historical importance, a national memorial that is known throughout Nova Scotia. Halifax's Citadel was designed in 1825 by Gustavus Nichols. He was the colonel of the troops who were stationed here. A drawbridge and a deep ditch were designed to make it difficult to penetrate the star-shaped citadel. It served not only as a fort, but also as a barracks. Since the departure of the British Army in 1906, the Citadel has been transformed. And each summer, the soldiers are once again awoken by Queen Victoria. Today, it is the students of Halifax University who act as the soldiers within the fort. They march dressed in traditional kilts to the sound of bagpipes. The changing of the guard is a disciplined ceremony. And this traditional event makes it easy to imagine military life here as it once was. The Citadel was originally scheduled to be built in 6 years. However, it took 30 and cost twice the original price. Although this city has witnessed several wars, due to its impregnable fortifications, it's never been attacked. The fortress provided a secure means of defense. The complex was designed to defend against land attack. Its cannon were a deadly threat that would have destroyed the most determined enemy. Numerous casemates indicate various building periods. The more primitive the internal design, the earlier they were built. Numerous rooms provide an insight into the daily life of the soldiers. Everything has been authentically restored, even the folding beds and labelled powder kegs. The garrison contained infantry, artillery and volunteers. And now the weaponry, uniforms and styles of various time periods are exhibited here. The battlements are open to the public. From here, one can see the sturdiness of the walls. There's also a tunnel beneath the moat. The first citadel was built in 1749 and was a small enclosed fortress. It was built with great haste to defend the city from attack by Native American Indians. In subsequent centuries, the complex has frequently been renovated and enlarged. It is the most visited historical attraction in Canada. The Canadian Army abandoned the Citadel in 1931. However, it also came back into service in the Second World War. In 1951, the fortress was presented to Parks Canada, and in 1956, it became an historic national memorial. Prepare the cannon is the command. The well-rehearsed ceremony adheres to strict military tradition. Each movement is precise and without fault. The cannon burst is quite loud. As the city moves ever closer towards the Citadel, far less gunpowder is used today. This is to protect the windows of nearby buildings. The soldier waits for the command. The fuse is ready. Fire! An historic event. Halifax once played an important military role and was also used as a British naval base. The railway station is a large structure. The Canadian Railway ends here and also embarks on its long journey between the east and west coast of Canada. The famous train The Ocean embarks from close to the harbour. Its impressive stainless steel carriages date back to the 1950s. The train's interior has been newly renovated. The Canadian Railway is an important and popular means of transport. Its passengers travel thousands of kilometres safely and in comfort across a huge and diverse landscape. The spacious ocean is extremely popular with those who travel on it. From its comfortable upper deck, there are wonderful views through panoramic windows. Halifax, a flamboyant metropolis that unites the past with the present day.